So we're going to set these profiles up now. By default, InDesign does not select a profile. It'll always default to that original basic working profile. So when I start a new document, one of the first things I want to do is select the print profile that I want to work with. Because that'll, as I add images to it, as I add text, as text overflows my text area, as my images aren't the right resolution or color space, it's going to tell me that every step of the way. If I wait until I'm done with my document and decide as a last thought, oh, maybe I should check to see if this will print okay, you're going to see all of your errors then. My opinion is that's the wrong time to check for print errors. The right thing to do is to try to address print errors as you work on your document. All right? And that'll also tell you too that an image that I pick, am I actually going to be able to print with that at the size that I have it? If you enlarge that image and there's nothing you can do to get it within the right resolution, for instance, you need to pick a new image, and you need to pick it at that time. Because the wrong time to have to pick an image, a new image, and swap it out, the wrong time to do that is after you've shown it to a client, after you've got approval on it. You don't ever want to have to go back and say, well, I wasn't paying attention, and it's all my fault, but this image won't work. So some people are understanding of that, some aren't. I know when I source work out to people, I expect to get files back for approval that are printable. You know, I'm one of the people that's less understanding about that. So I just figure you're a professional, you should know all of these things. I don't want to have to worry about stuff like that. So that's why we're going to set up print profiles. So this is the thing I want you to do with me. And let's see if I get this right from beginning to end. I will. Just know that this print profile that we're going to set up is a generic working kind of a thing. It's going to cover most use cases. Some printers have special requirements. But this should work definitely for everything you do in this class. And it should really work for 90 to 95% of any print job that you would ever do. So we're going to start by going up here to this little hamburger menu on my Preflight panel. And I want to go to Define Profiles. And that's going to bring up this dialog. And I'm just going to name this Russ's Spring Print Profile. Just so I can keep it separate from all of my other ones that I've done. Yeah. The panel, window, go to the window menu, down to output, Preflight. And once you've got that panel, then to get into these profiles, just click on that little hamburger menu there on the corner, define, and it's Define Profiles. All right. So we've named it. Let's start off with general. Let's open that one up. And if you want to put a description in here, that's fine. This is really just, this is a basic print profile. Okay. Then I'm going to close that. I'm going to open links. And let's take a look here. So when it comes to links within our document, what we always want to be warned about is if a link is missing or has been modified since the last time I opened the document. A lot of times you'll work in a variety of different ways. If you're doing the way I outlined it, you should never really lose anything. But We always need to know if a link is missing or if it's been modified. Under links, that's the only one that we need. The other two are good for OPI links I don't really care about. Inaccessible URL links, if I'm creating a profile for a online digital document, I can put URLs, links and URLs in those. I might want to make sure that's checked. But for print, we're not going to check that because we can't have links, live links in print documents. So missing links or modified needs to be checked. Let's close that. Let's go down to color. I'm just going to set this up for standard 4 color. I'm not going to worry about spot colors or anything else. So the only things checked are registration applied here at the bottom. We definitely want to know about that. Remember I told you when we looked at color that within our color swatches panel, registration is the only one that we never use because it's a build of all 4 colors. We want to make sure that we're not using that, so let's check that box. And then we want to come up here to color spaces and modes that are not allowed. I always thought this was named a little funky. The operative word being not for this category. If I open that, click on the little arrow and open that up, if I'm doing a print document, what color spaces do I not want to allow? Yep, RGB, lab and HSB. And like I said, this is going to be strictly a 4 color setup. I don't want to worry about spot colors on this. So I'm going to check that, and I think I'm going to make a note up here. This excludes spot colors. Let's close that up. Close that back up. All right. So color space is not allowed, or RGB, lab, HSB. Grayscale, yeah, we want that. CMYK, we want that. So this will be strictly a 4 color job with no spot colors. So we'll close that up. Images and objects. Bunch of different options here. I also set things here that I feel will give you the least amount of trouble at the last minute. So there's some other things I should check here, but I don't. So let's start with image resolution. Let's open that one up. I really only care for the most part about my minimum resolution. Color image, grayscale, and 1-bit should all be checked. And the minimum resolution for color and grayscale should be 300, so that'll be 300 dpi. And 1-bit image resolution, we'll leave the default of 1200. This doesn't come up very often anymore. This is kind of an old throwback category, but you do get, especially people on PCs, a lot of times BMP I think is still a viable option. So we want to watch resolution on that. But I don't set, for this basic profile, I don't set maximum image resolution. Generally speaking though, if you're resizing an image in InDesign, you really want to make sure that its maximum resolution is under 1200. Otherwise, it can it won't really cause issues, but there are some potential issues with resolutions over that where it kind of clogs up the color a little bit. But like I said, for what we're doing in class, I leave that unchecked. So we're only worrying about minimum resolution. So I'll close that back up. Non-proportional scaling of placed objects, I want that checked. Every single time you place an object in InDesign, it should be proportionally scaled. We shouldn't be squishing it one way or another. So check that. Transparency, we can allow that. Layer visibility overrides. We'll leave the rest of this stuff alone. We don't really need to worry too much about that. Yeah, so image resolution, non-proportional scaling is all that we're going to worry about with images and objects. Close that. Text. The things that we want to know about: is a font missing from this document? That should be checked. Do I have text that's overset? So remember, overset text is any text that will not fit within a text area on your page. So if I've closed the text area up too tight and some of the text goes away, I want to know about that. So that needs to be checked. The rest, we're going to leave alone and not worry about. Although you could set minimum type size is not a bad thing to set. 6 points is really the smallest you should go. The only reason I'm on the fence about setting that here is that if you have type in a placed object and it's live and it scales below 6 points, it'll actually flag that. And it's not such a big deal there. So I'll leave that up to you. The minimum type size, just know that our type size in our documents should really never go below 6 points. It kind of becomes too hard to read at that point. But I'm going to leave it unchecked. But I don't want to go through this list without actually addressing that. So we'll leave the rest of that alone. So there's text, overset text, and fonts missing. And then document. You know what? I do want to know. Let's see. Let's open up blank pages here. If I check blank pages, I really don't want blank pages in any document, so I am going to check that. And I'm going to consider a page empty if it only contains parent page items and non-printing items. So blank pages we're going to check. Bleed and slug setup. That's what do we have here actually? This kind of depends upon your document. If you're not running anything to the edge, your bleed doesn't really matter. So I'm going to make that something you need to keep track of on your own. So anyway, that covers all of those categories. When you've done that, don't forget you got to save it. So make sure you click the Save button. In order to save all of those settings. And once you've done that, you have your first print profile. And I'll just say OK. Now, it's using the last one I set up. I can either here or down here through this menu in the bottom, I can choose that print setup if I want to. So you should do that. That should be the first thing you do when you set up a document. You've got the print profile now. You should make sure you select that anytime you work on an InDesign document for print. If you're doing it for interactive media, that'd be a different profile. Any questions about that? One other thing, I can, actually after having told you, you always got to make sure you select it every single time. I say that because most people forget that they can embed print profiles in a document. If I go back up here to my menu, actually it's not there. Where do I set the default? I forget. Oh, here. So right out here next to the profile that I have selected, if I click on this icon, it'll actually embed it into the document. Which means that every time I open this now, that print profile is going to be applied to it. So when you create your cell sheet, your iPhone cell sheet, one of the first things you should do is set this print profile for that document so that you always know that everything is correct. Or at least so that you know what the errors are as you work. It's just, doing this at the last second. If you're one of those people that you put the finishing touches on your cell sheet 10 minutes before it's actually due, and then you decide to check whether it's good for print or not, and you've got 12 errors in it, that is the wrong time to find out you've got errors. I mean, it's better late than never, I guess, but you don't want to have to rush through troubleshooting 12, 36 errors. I mean, I've opened documents before that had a couple hundred errors in them. I mean, those are terrible. But the one thing about the errors that it gives you, if it counts every instance, so if I've got 30 color errors here, because I've used this particular icon or an image 30 times, it'll give me a count of 30 errors. Once I fix that, all of those errors go away. But my goal is to get this back to where I have 0 errors and it's ready for print. That's generally the first thing I do when I open this document for grading, is I check the number of pre-flight errors in it, and there's a score based off of that. I allow, well, you should never have any. Actually, I shouldn't even allow any, but because that's just wrong. But given that the class is kind of a mix of people, I do allow 1 or 2, but a print document should never have any before it goes to print. So, in a real world scenario, you're setting up for, a cell sheet print or a brochure print, you really shouldn't have any errors at all. So, all right. But that's pre-flighting. I'm going to springboard off of that on Friday or Monday. Maybe I'll leave it for Monday for packaging and pre-flighting a document, because you're going to have to do that too with the cell sheets, with all of your projects. So, all right. Any questions about pre-flighting? You can also, it's worth mentioning, these settings save to your Creative Cloud account. So as long as you have your current Creative Cloud account, you'll have this profile. It'll just load up. If you get out of school and get your own Creative Cloud account, you won't have that profile available. You can export these. So if I go back into my Define Profiles, select my Spring Print profile, go down here to the bottom of that list, there's a little hamburger menu. I can export that profile out and save it somewhere. So I'll export this. I'll save it to my University of Akron production folder. So now I have a backup of it. Then I can also, in the same way, in the same place, if I open that Define Profiles back up, go back down to this hamburger menu, I can load profiles as well. So if I've got it saved somewhere, I can go load it up again. Occasionally, rarely, but occasionally, a printer might have their own print profile that they require, and you'll get that, but not very often. I've had that happen maybe once. But when I did, that's how I loaded it in so I could use it. All right?